Hello and welcome to another live English lesson with me, Richie, and this is AM Language. Behind me, you can see the YouTube channel, and today we have just uploaded a brand new video. Ta-da! The video behind is the new business English video for 2021, the English version. Versions in other languages will be uploaded later on. Irina F, welcome to the channel today. Thank you very much for joining, and Merry Christmas to you as well. I hope you had a good Christmas, and I hope everybody who's watching had a good Christmas. In today's lesson, we are going to look at New Year resolutions, which is, I don't know how to say it in other languages, but I'm sure most people have a conversation about it at some point. New Year resolution or resolutions are all to do with the idea, that's what I need to think of. That's what I need to think about, actually. It's all to do with ideas, really, of what you're going to do in the new year. That's exactly what it is. That's all it is, really. Ideas of what you're going to do in the following year. So that's what we mean by New Year's resolution. I am going to have to change the thumbnail later on. I think I'm missing something. I'll double check later. Leondina, hi, good afternoon. Welcome to today's lesson. Hope you're doing well, Leondina. Buono pomeriggio. So that's what we're going to look at today, New Year's resolution. And yes, I'm definitely going to have to change the thumbnail, but I'll have to do that at the end of the lesson. So yeah, this is to do with ideas for next year. What changes do we want to make? Are there any changes we want to make? And it's usually about something to do with our lifestyle or ideas and goals. But there's some language we need to think about. Now, it's some language that we have looked at on the live videos before, but it will make good for discussion. So when we talk about New Year's resolutions, some things that we need to think about. Okay, so when we think of the grammar, we need to think about one. Are we going to talk about something that is 100%? Are we going to talk about something that is 75% certain? Or are we talking about something that's around 50%? Or are we going to talk about something that's somewhere in between? So I'm going to put some sentences in here, and you guys can tell me what you think the percentages of these sentences are. Okay, so A, okay. Okay, I'm going to go with the same activity every single time, okay, for now. So A, I'm going to take up scuba diving. B, okay. C, okay. D, E, F. And G. There we go. Okay, so there we have some. Oh yeah, I've nearly forgot one. Okay, so we've got a few options here. The question is, what type of percentage are they? What bracket of percentage are we talking about when we use this language? If you don't think it fits 1, 2, or 3, feel free to introduce a new option as well. So you've got, I'm going to take up scuba diving. I will take up scuba diving. I'm thinking about taking up scuba diving. I might take up scuba diving. I'm considering taking up scuba diving. I intend to take up scuba diving. I intend on doing scuba diving, and I would take up. I would like to take up scuba diving. Take up, by the way, for those of you who don't know, it's a really good phrasal verb which simply means to start something new. Okay. So that's the phrasal verb that we are going to use when we're talking about starting a new hobby. For example, the opposite would be cut out. For instance, the opposite would be cut out. So the opposite to take up would be cut out. Okay, so I'll put that in there as well, so you guys know, because maybe your New Year's resolution might not be to do with taking something up, but cutting something out. So it could be that, but we can have a look at that later. You could even cut down on something, which is not quite as far as cut out. So what do you think? Some might be a little bit obvious, like I'm going to take up scuba diving. That might be quite an obvious one. I'm thinking about if you have something, by the way, whereby the decision hasn't been made, this definitely can't be 100%. So if you're not too sure, just go with 50%, really. That would be my advice. You've got some interesting ones here, like I intend to take up scuba diving, or I intend on doing scuba diving. There, it's to do with your intention, what you wish to do, or what you want to do. We'll see what you guys make of this, and then we can go through and give some of our own examples regarding what our own New Year's resolutions might be. I've got a few myself, all very achievable. And I think that's the other thing, making sure that whatever you want to do in the new year is achievable. It's very easy to think of things that you want to do, but are completely unrealistic. Or you know yourself well enough to say, yeah, I know I'm not going to do it. I've put in scuba diving over here, because it's one of the things that it's not something I'm going to say I'm going to do, but it's been on my list for years. It's one of the things that I would say I have certainly put off for a very long time. And I've just never got around to doing it. So I'm not going to go, for me, I'm not going to say I am going to take up scuba diving, but for me, this is somewhere else. So Leandina has said A is 1. So I'm going to take up scuba diving is 100%. B is 1 as well. I will take up scuba diving. 1 is also C. I'm thinking about taking up scuba diving. So you said all of them are to do with 100%. C is 2. C is 2. Sorry, C is 2. I'm thinking about taking up scuba diving is 75%. 3, you have said, goes with E, 50%. I'm considering taking up scuba diving. F, 1, G1, let's see. F, I intend to take up scuba diving. G, I intend on doing scuba diving. And H, you've said, I would like to take up scuba diving, is approximately 50%. Okay. Evelina says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Evelina. Buon pomeriggio. And Merry Christmas. Welcome to today's lesson. We're talking about New Year's resolution, ideas for the future. What do you want to do in 2021? What are your goals? At the moment, we are just having a look at the grammar, the type of language that we can use when talking about New Year's resolutions. So let's see what you guys have said. Arena F has said 1 is A, B is 2, C is 3. Ooh, wait a minute. 1 is A and B, sorry. 2 is C and 3 is D. Okay. So some of these answers lie. Let's have a little look. Okay. So answers for 1. Now I've only given you 3 options. Okay. Which is answers for 1, which equal 100%. However, I'm going to put a little brackets in there, and the brackets are going to be this one. I'm also going to include things which might be 90 or 80%. So what I mean by this is pretty certain. Okay. So answer for number 1 would be A, which should definitely be 100%, and B, which would be, it's not quite 100%, but definitely around 90%. Okay, easily, or 90 to 100%, depending. Okay, so those are the answers for the ones that can fit number 1. Okay, number 2, which is 75%. Okay, number 2, which are answers for 75%. So this is definitely not certain, but there's a good chance of them. It's a good chance of it being. Okay, let's see. I'm thinking about no. I might no. I'm considering no. I intend to take up scuba diving, or I intend on doing scuba diving. Interesting one. Typically speaking, I think it depends on 1 or 2 other things. Intend can be quite strong because you're saying what your intention might be. Like if I said, well, I intend on doing this, it means that there's a strong possibility. Intend is a little bit of a cross, but for now, we can say, we could put down F and G over here. F and G. It doesn't mean they can't be 50%, but for this exercise, we're going to put them in the 75% column. Because if you say you intend to do something, you're implying there's a strong desire to do it. Okay. So that means all the others in this case, in this context of what we're talking about, so 50%, so we're talking about 3, 50%. We're going to say are all the others, which would be, we've got E, actually no, we've got C, D, E. C and E are the same, by the way. Considering something, thinking about something, they are the same. And yeah, all of those are that. H is a bit of a strange one. H is the one where I'm going to say it's a bit of a mix of 2. So 2 and 3, we can give that to option H. Okay. Would like. The reason being is that would is usually always used with something where there's a probability of it happening, but not necessarily. However, in this context, it sounds really weak. Like, I would like to do scuba diving. Yes, I would like to do it, but it's definitely not certain. So depending on the context, the way we say these things, then yeah, we could put that in both categories. Intend, like I said, if for this example, we're going to leave it in the 75% category, but it could easily be in the 50% category as well. It does depend the way we say it and the way we go about it. Okay, so this leads me on to the next thing, which is my first question, and you guys can give me your examples. For anything between 100 and 80%, okay? What New Year's resolutions come under this category? Okay, so this is my first question. What New Year resolutions category? There we go. So what New Year's resolutions come under this category? That's the important thing. So what New Year's resolutions come under this category? Now, don't forget, guys, New Year's resolutions, these are ideas, things that we want to do that we think are going to be better, that are going to better ourselves. So I'm going to give you some of my examples, and then you can give me some of your examples. So one of the things that it's not for me, this is a strong one. Okay, this is going to be 100% for me. Okay, I'm going to start writing down ideas that I think of. I'm going to start writing down my thoughts. Actually, that's what I'm really saying. I'm going to start writing down my thoughts. Actually, I'm going to get into the habit, actually, of writing down my thoughts. So this for me is an example of something that's going to be 100% for me. A New Year's resolution for me, 100% is I'm going to start. Oh, no, that doesn't make sense. I've just realized I missed out something. Let me do that again. So I'm going to get into, yes, I'm going to get into the habit of writing down my thoughts. It was actually fine. I just misread it. So yeah. Now, why do I want to do this? Well, it's, you know how that is the frustrating thing sometimes. You have some thoughts, some really good thoughts, and you don't write them down, and then you can't remember. And you remember, and you know that you had a really good thought about something, but you can't remember it. So one of the things I want to do is I want to get into the habit of writing down my thoughts so I can go back to them and develop them. And it's I think it would be a good way of the other thing is when you start writing down your thoughts, it helps you develop your ability to explain yourself better, to explain your thoughts. So for me, this is a New Year's resolution of mine. I'm going to get into the habit of writing down my thoughts. What about you guys? Can you guys think of anything else? I think another one for me, which is again something I'm going to do. I started this year, but I want to be more consistent, which is, again, this is going to be another 100% one for me, is I'm going to build on my exercise routine. I think that's what I'm going to do. So this is another New Year's resolution of mine, which is 100%. I'm going to build on my exercise routine. So over the course of the last 2 years, I have done more work in terms of trying to make time for exercise. But sometimes it's really difficult, and it's difficult to stick to a routine. It's always easy to find a reason not to do exercise, especially when you know, the weather is bad, you might be in quarantine, you can't go outside. There's lots of ways to find excuses not to do something like exercise, and I want to try and break the bad habit of not sticking to a routine. So I'm going to try and this year I am going to build on my exercise routine. I have an idea of what I'm going to try and do, and I've never done diets, and I don't need to do a diet, thankfully, very much. But I do know that certain diets can help whatever you're doing in terms of exercise. So for me, the diet thing is more of a might, but I don't need to diet. I don't need to anyway. So let me know any ideas you have for yourself going into 2021. Can you think of anything that you are going to do? Maybe you don't have anything yet in terms of going to do. Maybe you have something that you think, though, you're going to put under the category of will, like I will. Travel is one. I mean, this year I haven't traveled. Okay, I did visit. Okay, I did go to Dublin, but I can't say I did the type of traveling I did the year before. I do like adventurous travel. This time last year, I was in South America, and I was traveling down the west part of South America, which was great fun. And so maybe for you guys, maybe some of you are thinking that you want to do some traveling next year. I don't know, maybe this year was just too difficult to travel for many reasons, obviously COVID-19. So let me know if you have any travel plans, or maybe you have nothing. As when it's 100%, by the way, there's a phrase called set in stone. Okay, when something is 100%, the phrase is set in stone. So it's set in stone. So maybe you don't have any ideas or any plans that are set in stone. I'm going to give you an idea for 75%, okay, the intend one, okay? Maybe you guys have some more ideas about what you intend to do. So I would say for this one, I'm going to say I intend to what's one of the things I intend to do? Okay, for example, I intend to what would be a good one? Okay, yeah, I think this is a good one. I intend to develop the quality of the of AM languages YouTube videos. So this is actually quite a strong one. So this for me would be another one. I intend to develop the quality of AM languages YouTube videos. So Leondina says, actually, I don't know yet what my New Year's resolutions are. Okay, well, we can have the conversation of ideas. Actually, if you're thinking about anything, I've got some ideas over here. Okay, so if you're struggling to think of any ideas, how about this? Okay, this is always a good one. Okay, topics that could be quite good. Number one, obviously travel. You've got books, anything to do with reading. Maybe courses, maybe any other courses you wish to do. Maybe you want to take up another English course, for example. We've got, I mean, that also ties with certain skill development that you might want to do. Maybe there's something to do with work. Maybe you want to get a new job, or you want to get a promotion, for example. What else? Maybe something to do with films, for example, or exercise. Is there anything else? Or maybe something to do with pet animals. Maybe some of you have the goal of getting a pet animal. So here, those are some examples. I do know one teacher at work always has the goal to read more books than he did the year before. I think this year he's read something like 108 books this year. Some of you might know him, a teacher named Ivan. And so he does a very good job at trying to read more every year. I think this year, though, he didn't read as many books as he did the year before. I think the year before he read 120 books. How you find time to read 120 books, I don't know. I don't think I've ever read more than. I mean, this year has probably been the year that I've read the most books. But yeah, nowhere near 100. Nowhere near 100. But I think it does depend on what type of books you read. I think if you read anything of like a fantasy novel, it's probably a little bit easier to read uh, quickly compared to other types of books. I would say so, yeah. So maybe there's some things that you might intend to do. Maybe there's something to do with cooking. I can tell you that one of my other ideas that I intend to do this year is I intend to develop my cooking skills. Um, For instance, I would very much like to learn how to cook an authentic curry, for example. Leondina says, I'd like to read more in English. Well, that's a really good New Year's resolution, Leondina. What sort of maybe I can help out here, Leondina. What sort of books do you enjoy reading? Um, do you enjoy reading personal biographies? Um, Fantasy novels. I mean, I would always recommend if you do like anything that is of a story nature, then I can certainly recommend certain books to you. And I would actually recommend some of the classics. The great thing about reading some of the classic books in English is the type of writing. Evelina says for the new year, I would. You just need the verb like there. Okay, I would like to. I would like to improve English, doing more sports and walking. Okay, I think that's a really good New Year's resolution, Evelina. Um, when you use the would, you're going to need I would like to. So don't forget the like there. Yes, sports is a good one. Let me know if there's any type of sports that you want to do, or are there any walks that you want to do? Um, are there any sort of like I know some people have there are some really you live in Italy actually, so you've got some fantastic walks available, especially around like I don't know, like I know the Dolomites in northeast Italy, some great places to walk. I like fantasy and classic novels. Well, here you go, Leondina. Um, really good books for you. What I would say is, okay, now, Leondina, if I recall, you are up intermediate, yes? I think you're up intermediate. I think you're up intermediate. Um, Maybe I'm wrong though. Um, okay. So an author I would recommend to you, Leondina, if you are of an upper intermediate level, is a classic. He's an absolute classic, and his books are fun to read. They certainly would improve your English, and at an up intermediate level, you'll be able to understand a good amount, but there'll be also a good amount that you would still learn from it. It would certainly, definitely develop your ability in terms of the way you speak and write. Um, and I would recommend reading Charles Dickens, um, famous for lots of different types of novels, and of course, A Christmas Carol, which is a very famous one. The thing about Charles Dickens, not certificate. Oh, right, okay. So, well, Leondina, I would say if you are thereabouts of a B2 level, Charles Dickens is not a bad option, and you probably can find Charles Dickens books that have been converted uh, for L2 learners as well. So I would definitely recommend an author like Charles Dickens. And Leodina says that she loves Charles Dickens. Excellent. Well, Charles Dickens is a really good one. Um, I mean, it's on my list at some point to try and get the collection of Charles Dickens. Um, the thing about his writing style is that it's a relaxed. There's like a rhyme to it. It's easy reading, um, and it really knows how to paint a picture. So I do recommend Charles Dickens. Um, I would also say actually another author that could be quite good. Um, Let me just see if I can just remember his name. Ah, yes. This one would be quite good. Again, classic, definitely. He was more classic, really. I mean, he was very much more of a children's writer. But when reading his books in English, they're not a bad option. And that is the author Roald Dahl, famous for stories like Fantastic Mr. Fox, um, James and the Giant Peach, for example. Those are pretty good stories. And again, if you're of a B2 level or even a B1 level, the level of English is going to be of slightly challenging, but not too challenging. So I would recommend Roald Dahl. Are there any others I would really strongly recommend at this point? Um, Okay, yeah, I think one of the others that I would recommend. Um, Now, this would probably be the most challenging out of the ones I'm going to suggest, but I would recommend someone like Oscar Wilde. Irish rather than English. Again, a classic novelist. And I'm pretty sure that you can find books of his that have been adapted for people who are learning English. But again, those are pretty good books, and I would strongly recommend um, going back a little bit, reading some of these sort of classics. The English is always good, and it really does develop your ability to read, the enjoyment of it. Um, Evelina, I've been trying to think of any books I recommend for you, and I would say at this stage you definitely need to go for graded books. Um, Graded books. Let me see if I can recommend anything actually. Um, okay, this could be quite a good one. Okay, there's something called short stories. I'm going to share the link actually for you. It's by an author named Ollie Richards, and there's lots of short stories, and you can find these sort of stories at different levels as well. And I recommend this actually to anyone looking to learn English as well. So you can find the link over here. Okay, that's the link. That will take you to amazon.co.uk, but you can find these sort of, you can find them elsewhere. But this is good for, what I would say is short stories for beginners. So I'm going to suggest this to you, Evelina. I'm going to recommend short stories in English for beginners. And that's the link to the site, well, to where you can find them. But I do recommend those. Those can be pretty good when it comes to this. Okay, guys, excellent. So we've looked at things that you intend to. Let's look at things that you are considering. Now, don't forget, guys, to consider is the same as saying to think about. Okay, so what ideas are you considering? Okay, now we can introduce one or two other things here. Okay, positive, okay, is take up. Negative is cut out. And another negative, which means to reduce, would be cut down on something. So, for example, if I'm going to say something positive, I might say, I'm considering eating more vegetables, for example. I might go with something like that, more vegetables. I might, if I want to come out with something negative, I might say, I'm considering cutting out carbs, for example, which is just about impossible. And if it's somewhere in the middle, just reducing, okay, to reduce, then you might say, I'm considering cutting down on the amount of carbs I eat. So that's just an example, okay. So like I said, guys, if you use the word consider or considering, it's another word for think or thinking about doing something. So for me, if I were to look at the negatives, I think the one over here, the reduce one, I am considering cutting down on the amount of carbs I eat within a week. One of the things I've looked into, I know that there's a type of pattern whereby you can still eat carbs and you can enjoy the carbs you like, but apparently it's something to do with breaking the amount of carbs you eat over the course of the week. So you start off on a low amount of carbs, then you progress to sort of medium, and then you finish on a high. And that way it it does something to the way you digest carbs. This is what you might do if you want to try and put on more muscle or lose weight in some sort of way, at least what I've read. And so I'm considering cutting down on the amount of carbs I eat throughout the whole week. I'm still, I mean, I enjoy my pasta quite a bit, and pizza. Toast and bread, so-so. I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't need it. I don't need to have it. So I think that's something that I'm probably considering. What about you guys? Is there anything you're considering cutting out or cutting down on? Maybe it's a shopping habit. Maybe you might decide that you want to cut out a particular shopping habit, or cut out something entirely. maybe you want to cut out wheat. Maybe you want to cut out chocolate, which would be very difficult to do. Leondina says that I'm considering cutting down on the coffee I drink as I've reduced the amount of carbs. Okay, so that's a good example, I would say, in terms of trying to cut down on something. Yeah, cut down on the amount of coffee you drink. Do you drink a lot of coffee, Leondina? I know some people who drink so much coffee. I'm not sure how they find time to drink that amount of coffee in a day. So let me know if you do drink a lot of coffee. But in Italy, is it usually coffee like an espresso, or is it something like, a big pot of coffee? What sort of coffee do you drink? I met an American actually last year while traveling, and he was very into his coffee. He was from New York, and he told me that he has a watch that connects to his coffee flask, okay? And it tells him when the coffee is at the best temperature to drink. And the coffee flask can keep the coffee at the same temperature for up to 8 hours. I never knew this was a thing, but apparently in New York, it is a thing, and it's an Apple product. I was amazed. I did not know that this was something people needed, but apparently it is. So, by the way, when I say coffee flask, this is one of those. This is the sort of thing you would find in coffee shops to take away, like Starbucks, Costa Coffee. That's what a coffee flask is, by the way. I'll type that in as well. Coffee flask. Okay, that's your takeaway coffee thing. Evelina says, I don't eat pasta every day. I don't like much, but once a week I need eating pizza. Oh, really close. When you use need to. Once a week I need to eat pizza. I don't blame you. I myself, pizza with just two Z's. Yeah, I like to eat pizza once a week as well. I think it's one of the most enjoyable things to eat. And it all, you know what? I look forward to eating pizza. I'm not ashamed in saying that. I get excited about pizza, but having it once a week makes it a treat. And I'm in favor of having pizza just once a week. Okay, guys, so thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back tomorrow, same time, with another lesson at 3 o'clock. In terms of what we're going to look at tomorrow, I'll be honest with you, I haven't decided yet what I am going to look at tomorrow. So if there's anything that you guys really want to look at, just let me know in the comment section below. Not in the live chat section, not in the live chat section, sorry, but in the actual comment underneath the video. Or for any other video, actually. Just let me know if there's something that you really want to look at. Leondina says that she loves espresso. And whoa, nearly 8 to 10 a day? You drink nearly 8 to 10 espressos a day. Wow. Okay, right. I see why you might be thinking that's a lot of that's a lot of coffee. So you are a coffee lover. Okay, guys. So thank you so much. Leondina, Evelina, and Irina F., thank you very much for your contribution to today's lesson, and hope to see you guys tomorrow, same time at 3 o'clock with another live lesson. And like I said, if there is a specific topic you want to look at, just let me know in the comment section below. So yes, comment below. Thank you very much, and if you're new, subscribe. You too, have a great evening.